I'm going to show you how to create a ceramic fishbowl using porcelain clay.
If you're new to my channel, please be sure to stick around and check out my other art videos, art tutorials, and art lessons. I have so many super fun projects on this channel, Rainbow Parrot Art. And please support me by subscribing to this channel and liking this video.
I'm going to start with a ball of wet clay that's about the size of my fist. I'm working on top of a canvas cloth so that the clay does not stick to the table. I'm first pressing down on the clay to begin to flatten it. Now I'm taking my rolling pin and gently rolling in one direction just a little bit, then lifting and rotating my rolling pin and rolling in the other direction. Then again, lifting and rolling and lifting and rotating. Now I'm checking to see how thick my clay is. It's still a bit thick, so I'm going to roll it out just a little bit more, and this looks good. You definitely do not want your clay slab to be any thinner than this because it could easily break. So if your slab is any thinner than this, you will want to roll your clay back into a ball and start over. I'm happy with the size of my slab, so now I'm going to use a small plastic lid to cut out my fishbowl. Please put the back of the lid on the clay so that the rim of the lid faces up. I'm putting my finger right above this circle, and I'm using my needle tool to cut a straight line across the top. Now from the top edge of this clay, I'm cutting down with a straight line on both sides. And then I'm cutting along the edge of the circle. If this seems too hard, you can just use your lid to cut a simple circle shape and your fishbowl will still look great. Now I'm removing the lid. I'm happy with the shape of my fishbowl. I'm just going to make the top edge a bit rounded. I'm using a little bit of water to smooth out the edges of my fishbowl. Be careful to just use the tiniest bit of water because you do not want your clay to get too wet. Now that I'm happy with the shape of my fishbowl, it's time to carve my name on the back. Please don't forget to carve your name on the back of your fishbowl. Press very lightly as you carve a wavy water line near the top. If you press too hard, you will slice your fishbowl into two pieces, so please press very gently when you do this. I've saved this slab of clay because I'm going to use it to cut out a fish. I'm first going to gently carve the shape of my fish. Once I'm happy with the shape, I can go back and press harder with my needle tool so that I cut the fish out completely. To make the fish easier to separate from the clay, I am cutting out and removing the slab of clay that's next to the fish. I'm going to set my fish here for now and attach it later. This time I'm using my needle tool to draw a bigger, rounder fish, pressing very gently in case I make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you can add a touch of water and use your finger to erase the line. Once you have completely erased a line, you can draw a new line. I'm happy with how this looks, so I'm going to begin to cut it out by pushing all the way down with my needle tool. Watch carefully to see how I slice all the way through the edge of the clay slab. One at a time, I am gently cutting out and removing the slabs that are next to my fish. I cut out and remove one slab at a time. Cutting around the lips is very delicate, so I'm going to cut out one little piece at a time. I'm ready to secure my fish to the fish bowl. When I gently remove the fish, I see that it has left an imprint. I'm using my needle tool to score up the area inside this imprint. It looks like I'm making 100 little hashtags. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the back of my fish. Be sure to press gently when you do this. This is similar to the concept of Velcro. The tiny hooks in the clay will make the clay stick together. Now that I'm done carving the hashtags, I'm using my finger to add a touch of water on both surfaces. And now I'm ready to attach the fish to the bowl. I'm gently pressing on my fish to secure it in place. I'm repeating this score and slip method with the other fish, gently scoring the area on the fish bowl and gently scoring the back of my fish. Then adding a little bit of water to both surfaces and then pressing the fish onto the fish bowl. To cut out a starfish, I am very lightly drawing a 5-point star. I'm cutting back some of the clay to make the starfish easier to cut out. See how I'm cutting all the way through to the edge of my clay so that I can remove the slabs of clay around my starfish? I am cutting away one little slab of clay at a time until all the clay around my starfish has been removed. Now that I'm done cutting it out, I'm adding a tiny bit of water and smoothing out the surface of my starfish. This starfish is so delicate that I'm not going to score the back of it. I will just score the surface of the fishbowl, then add a bit of water, then gently press the starfish into the fishbowl. I'm gently carving a line here. This is the bottom of the seafloor. I'm pressing very lightly as I carve some wavy lines for seaweed. I'm using a small paintbrush and a tiny bit of water to gently smooth and shape the edges around my fish. I'm using my needle tool to poke a hole for the fish eyes. I'm adding gills and some fish scales. Again, a line for the gills and some fish scales. And a few lines on the tail and on the fins. I'm adding a little smile for the mouths. This part is totally optional and only recommended for my older students. If you want, you can use a relief carving tool to gently remove some of the clay next to the water to make the water line pop out and look more three-dimensional. Be super careful to only remove a tiny bit of clay, lest your fishbowl will become too thin and break. Once finished, I'm using a tiny bit of water and a small paintbrush to smooth this surface. I decided to make the top of my bowl a bit shorter by slicing off a bit of clay here. So you're going to have all this extra clay when you're done, and so what I want you to do is sprinkle a little water on it like that, and then I want you to squish it into a ball and put it back inside the bag that you got it out of. Then I want you to put all of your tools back, empty your water in the sink, and rinse your cup out. You're going to have clay crumbs all over this, so carefully fold this like that. Carry it to the garbage and then shake it over the garbage. And then I just want to show you what to do with your table as well. You'll have a table that's kind of full of clay crumbs like this. So the easiest way to clean it up is to wipe these crumbs. Take your hand like that. And then wipe them, wipe them into your hand. You can't see, let's see. There we go. Wipe them into your hand like that. Okay, throw this in the trash and then sponge off the surface of your table. I hope you love how your fishbowl turns out. Please be sure to say hi in the comments below and check out the other amazing art lessons and art tutorials on my channel, Rainbow Parrot Art.